Sanford was a multifaceted guy. He was part politician, part dreamer. When he left office in early 1965, he was still young, he was still energetic, and he still very much wanted to help push North Carolina forward in some way.
He was excited about ideas, always learning, and finding ways he could serve and teach. Terry wanted to make the world a better place. And there were a lot of ways to do it. You know, if one of them didn't turn out, try another. Duke University, imagine.
This university aspires to be a leader in all man's hopes. Today we commit Duke to show the way. We must build together here what we would like to see our society become.
It would never have crossed my mind in the wildest moment that I would ever be offered the presidency of Duke. The Vietnam War did such great damage to the morale of the people. The young people had gone and sacrificed and died because they thought that their nation required it. You could expect a student eruption across the country. There was nothing going on campus that I hadn't already faced in a much more difficult, much more volatile situation.
While other presidents were hiding behind the doors of their offices, Terry walked out among the students and talked to them. But he did believe that students were entitled to their voice, and he wanted to hear it. It was amazing, actually. So many places got it wrong. Some of the great names in higher education got it wrong, and Terry got it right.
We will not flinch from change. We will lead it. We will not turn away from challenge. We will welcome it. Our students are intelligent and socially concerned. We reaffirm our faith in them and solicit and encourage their hope and energies in what can become an exciting venture in the rebuilding of America.
Coming to Duke was really, in a sense, the apex of his ability to create change.
He had social intelligence and emotional intelligence. When I was an undergraduate, one of my friends invited me to go to a dinner party at Terry Sanford's house. And when I walked in the door, I saw all these beautiful people dressed up, and I have to admit, I felt a little shy and a little awkward. And Terry Sanford came over to me and stood and talked to me and made a real point at completely putting me at my ease. I believe that what Terry Sanford was doing was practicing politics all the time and teaching other people how to do that.
He had started something that turned out to be a really life-changing experience for me, which was to have actual students sit as full-fledged voting members of the Board of Trustees of the university. So at the ripe age of, I think, 20 or 21, I ended up being elected to the Duke Board of Trustees. He was one of those people that always gave young people the benefit of the doubt, who was always actually telling everybody else on the board that it was important to listen to us, the young trustees, that we actually had something that was worth saying that they needed to hear. And when Terry Sanford said it, I think other people really rethought about whether, in fact, they should also be really listening to some of the younger voices around them.
Duke, when I got there in 1971, seemed still a bit of a country club. Duke students weren't very much involved with the city of Durham, and yet Durham was an extraordinarily interesting place. It was a place with a lot of poor folks, with a lot of well-off folks, had the oldest black political organization in the state. And you could talk to Duke students, and they knew nothing of that in Durham.
Tobacco was flat on its back. Duke was rising And Durham had to decide what kind of future it was going to have. Terry Sanford knew somewhere deep in his bones that Duke would do better as Durham prospered. Terry Sanford reached out as president of Duke University and brought that community together in a very practical effort to get Durham named an all-American city. He assembled people from every element of this community to come to know each other better, to have a common cause. We went on, we won this award, which made everybody proud and was very useful also to Duke.
When he took over at Duke, he did a careful analysis of where Duke was and discovered that the university was in fact in terrible trouble. There was no major commitment of federal money, as many of the other great American universities had managed to win. Terry, as a progressive former governor, was an ideal candidate for some corporate boards, and he went on boards like ITT, made friends for the university and the business community. Terry set about, you might say, pretending that it was a great university in fine shape, meanwhile working on the foundations.
What he wanted to do was to figure out how to take Duke to the next level of greatness. The capital campaign was designed to build the financial base on which to do that. The people in the development office came up with a plan for how much we should raise, and Terry Sanford said, it's too little. We need to raise more than that. And the theme of the campaign was outrageous ambitions. That was Terry's language. He's the one who was responsible for opening up Duke to the world and letting the world see what it was.
Even when I came to Duke in the 70s, Duke was considered a good Southern school. It is now obviously in the top 10, if not the top 5 in the United States in almost every field because of Terry Sanford's real leadership, his ambition, his vision for creating a genuinely world-class university in Durham, North Carolina.
That kind of university will make a difference in the world because its graduates make a difference.
Turned out he was a heck of a president. All those relationships, working with people, finding out what they were like, students sitting in your office, sit-ins, you know, those same skills work there. They would have worked in the White House.